Yeah, really exciting day for the Rebels. Lot of great energy and positive momentum. Really appreciate the work of our staff. Did a tremendous job getting on the road after the Egg Bowl and going to work and making up ground. And really pleased with that. Really appreciate the trust of these families, of the guys that signed with us. You know, a lot of really good relationships were formed. You know, just kind of going by position, I thought it was imperative that we go out and sign a mid-year quarterback to come in and compete in the spring. We're able to do that. One of the top quarterbacks in the country, Matt Corral. You know, tremendous talent, and he's going to be able to come in and compete in the spring. So we're excited about that. Losing our running back, we had to go out and sign one, and really pleased with that. Scotty Phillips, #1 junior college running back in the country, and then along with Isaiah Woolard, who's going to be coming in and joining this class, who is a Mississippi kid, very excited. He's been here for a summer. We know what his character is, and excited to get him back. Wide receiver, you know, losing a couple guys there. Really excited about DeMarcus Gregory, big physical receiver. He's going to be able to come in at mid-year. Excited about that, and then obviously having a guy like Elijah Moore that could do so many different things, punt returner, kick returner. He's a slot guy, but we really haven't had a guy like that, so really excited about him. Coach Peeler did an amazing job on him. Offensive line-wise, Jalen Cunningham kind of fits in that mold, but he's probably going to start on the defensive line just because he's a big physical nose guard, but I think he also has a chance to maybe be an NFL offensive guard as he develops. So I think he's kind of a swing guy. So I really like his potential. D-line-wise, I really felt like we did a good job addressing some needs. Hal Northern is a first-team All-American junior college defensive lineman. He's originally from Tunica Rosa Ford, Mississippi kid. Worked really hard to get to where he is, and a very impressive player. He'll be able to join us at mid-year and be there in the spring. So that was a huge position of need. And you put him with K.D. Hill, Quentin Bivens, and James Williams, just a very good, solid class to start with in this early signing period. So really excited about that. Linebacker, you have another first-team All-American, Vernon Dasher, that can come in at mid-year and help us. That was a huge position of need, so very excited to get him there. And then along with the high school guys, Hess and Jaquez Jones, very good players, really tremendous families, great kids. And then in the defensive secondary, Keydron White and Cam Smith. So Keydron Smith and Cam White. So excited about those guys.
All right, raise your hand if you have a question. We'll move right to you.
How much did getting the final verdict from the NCAA give you momentum once you knew what you were facing?
You know, I think the biggest fear for people is fear of the unknown. And once people know what it is, that they can move forward. And I think that's where we were. It was fear of the unknown. People, when you have fear of the unknown, people can say whatever they want to say. But now that everything's out there, we moved past it, and now we're just moving forward. We can deal with it and move forward, and I think that's what everybody's doing. I think that's why you see so much positive momentum moving forward, just because everybody knows what it is, and let's move forward.
Matt, how did the mood of recruiting shift once the interim tag was taken off of you?
You know what, I thought that we did. I said this kind of also because I got a lot of questions about how are you going to recruit being the interim coach. And I kind of said all along, we just maintain relationships with these guys. And again, Ole Miss sells itself. People that come visit here want to come to Ole Miss. So all you had to do was stay within striking distance on some guys, and as soon as it was time to go, and the fear of the unknown, no different than the sanctions, that once that was removed, I think people were excited. So, you know, I just think staying in striking distance, and when it was removed, they knew it was happening. I think some people were excited.
Matt, y'all signed 3 guys who were committed other places. How do you approach guys like that in the process, and what changed late that allowed y'all to sign those guys?
Well, you know, I think it's just all about relationships and fit. You know, when a young man is trying to make a decision, he's got to pick the best environment for him. And I think that's the whole key. I think a lot of all these outside influences and Twitter, none of that stuff really matters. What matters is picking the best environment for you so you can go be happy. And if you're happy at that place, then you're going to be your best at that place. And I think that was the case with those 3 young men.
Matt, was there a specific determining factor about how many junior college players you would sign versus high school players, or is it just how has that worked itself out?
You know, it's all about need. The problem we had very, very limited mid-year spots that guys could come in and perform in spring practice. And so we knew we had to get a quarterback, we had to get a D lineman, and we had to get a linebacker. So those were three huge positions of need, but we didn't have very many mid-year spots. So I think that was big for us. We only had 6. So we had to really utilize those 6 mid-year spots to the best we could.
Matt, with this early signing period is obviously a new thing, and not that you were scrambling, but did your message change at all with there being kind of a finite amount of time to get your message across to these kids?
No, I don't think the message changed. And again, I don't think everybody's got the whole early signing period down yet because this is the first time it's happened. But I do think there is some good for the kids that know 100% where they want to go. Then the early signing period's a good thing. But, and then some of the guys that aren't sure, they have the opportunity to wait. But what I don't know is if the recruiting calendar gets moved up as we move forward, how it changes. But for now, it didn't change our message.
Were you a little surprised with the number of kids throughout the nation that signed early? Because a lot of people thought it might be just a stopgap to the big day.
Right. No, not surprised. I think if a young man knows where he wants to go, I think it takes a lot off those guys. He's got 3 weeks where he doesn't have to see all these coaches and field all the phone calls. He can now focus in on his academics and things like that. So I think if a young man knows where he wants to go, I think it has a chance to be a positive.
Coach, in the February signing period, I know you weren't able to sign all the players that you'll get overall for the class. What are you going to be looking for to finish it up?
Yeah, just looking down, we'll probably end up going after a couple more wide receivers. And again, all this is, best available, but we will sign at least one more receiver, potentially a tight end, maybe 1 to 2 more O-linemen, depending upon how Jalen fits into that category. Maybe 1 more D lineman and 1 more backer and maybe a corner safety body, but again, all best available prospects, but maybe 8 to 9 more guys potentially.
Matt, do you feel like when Matt Corral committed last week, do you feel like that shifted momentum for you guys in the process?
Yeah, I think it did. I think a lot of people, when he made the decision to come, I think everybody was excited. But for me, it was a huge position of need, and we filled it with a very, very good player. So that, for me, that was the most important thing, and all the stuff that comes with that becomes a bonus. But when you have a position of need and you need a good quarterback to come in and fill a position, and you get that, then I think all the bonuses that come with that is what that is. And I think some players maybe saw that, and if you're a receiver and you see a quarterback, I think it helps, no doubt.
Do you feel like you guys next year will be able to best address linebackers with development of the young kids, or do you expect some of these signees to play quickly?
I think when you sign a mid-year guy to come in, you expect those guys to come in and contribute quickly. But the answer is both. We'd like to keep developing the young guys and then bring in some guys to help and to create competition. That way you're getting better from both ends and they're pushing each other to be better. So I think some of the guys that we redshirted last year pushing for playing time, and also the guys that we bring in, pushing for playing time. And it's not out of the realm that we try to go get maybe a junior college guy that's a May out to come in and help it. So there's a lot of different factors that can play into it, but to answer your question, we want it to come from both sides. We want the young guys to keep developing, and we want some guys to come in and push for early playing time.
Having this much of this class done, Matt, does it change the emphasis, or does it speed up the clock? Maybe a better way of saying on the 2019 guys.
Absolutely, it does. I think once you get half your class signed, or more than half your class signed, then you're you have a limited focus on the rest of the 18 class, and you start focusing on the 2019 class, which in the state of Mississippi is very good.
Questions?
Coach, in particular with you, but also schools around the country, I know you can only speak for your staff, but the guys that did not sign, that were committed, what do you do with them from here?
You just keep recruiting them. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it does. To me, it's no different. This is just the guys that were committed and signed, and you got them, and then you focus on the guys that aren't. So you treat them the same. You just go after them. You keep recruiting. If you want them, you go after them just like normal. So as far as us, it's going to be business as usual as far as recruiting and going after these guys, just like a normal February signing period.
Coach, will you clarify what you said earlier, that you might be able to sign 8 or 9 more? We were kind of under the impression that 21 was your limit.
Yeah, I think we could get to 22, potentially 23.
How? I thought the penalties.
No, we're at the number of 81, but yeah, we have potentially 8 to 9 more left.
Any more questions?
Matt, this is your first signing day as a head coach. Just how did it feel going through that the first time?
You just wanted to see those names come across the fax, you know. But it was all really. It wasn't a whole bunch of surprises. It was kind of what we thought. Maybe a couple surprises to the positive, to the positive side, which is always good. But it's just a credit to the staff. They did an outstanding job. I think everybody was in by 10 o'clock, and but it was kind of what we expected, trying to fill some needs, especially at some certain positions. And I thought it was a really, really good day.
All right, Davis, we'll get it. Okay.
Matt, when you guys are evaluating linebackers, what are you looking for in particular? And these 3 guys that you signed, how can they, with their skill sets, specifically help at that position, you think?
Yeah, I mean, in this league, the running backs that you have to play against, they're obviously big and physical and strong. So you got to have big physical guys, but you also have to have guys that can play in space. So it's a tough position to find. But what we were looking for is physical guys and guys that could run. And that's Vernon Dasher is a little bit undersized guy, but he can really run and hit. And you got Hess that has a lot of length and has a chance to grow into a big linebacker. And then Jaquez is more of a big physical Mike linebacker that we've been looking for. So I just think you identify your needs and you go after the best available.
Any more questions?
How does James Williams fit with you guys on the defensive line?
You know what? He is an unbelievable athlete. I mean, I think Coach Nix just got back from watching him play basketball, and he can play a bunch of different positions. He can be a rush end. He can play inside. There's a lot of comparisons to Breland Speaks just because they're from the same school, but just a tremendous athlete and a tremendous player, and has just a lot of upside as a pass rusher and a run stopper. Right? He can kind of fit in a bunch of different spots. That's what's so intriguing about him, is his versatility.
Matt, do you envision making any staff changes at this point?
As far as changes, not at this point. We still have the 10th coach hire coming up, and then maybe some rearranging in the recruiting office and things like that. But that's all on the horizon moving forward after this. Probably after convention, it will all start shaking out.
The 10th assistant, do you know exactly what role you'll hire him
He's
in?
going to be on defense. I'm not going to put myself into a certain position just yet, because there's a couple of different ways I could go with it based on the guy that I want to go after. I don't want to pin myself down on a certain position, but he is going to be on the defensive side of the ball.
No surprises on any more kids requesting permission to talk to other schools?
Not to my knowledge. I think that's all everybody's planning on coming back, to my knowledge.
Questions? Anything else?